What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Power Wheels Podcast Show, episode number 5. And joining me this week in the studio is Mr. Bryan Boucher. Is it Boucher or
It's
Boucher? How are
Boucher.
we saying that? Okay. Boucher would be French.
Well, yeah, like whenever I go anywhere traveling, everybody calls me Boucher. And that's how I got the nickname Waterboy because of the movie. So, yeah, it's a long story of that. Al Horn actually started that back in 2006, 2007. He started calling me Waterboy.
No way.
Yeah, so.
All right. Well, welcome, Bryan. How are you? We've been talking quite some time on Facebook Messenger, and we found out you just mentioned the RC guy, Al Horn. He's a popular RC guy that we both know. So another RC racer turned Power Wheels racer.
Yeah, pretty much. A lot of it relates, so it's pretty easy to transform from one hobby to the other. Then, like I'll go over how I got into racing and everything like that. So, being in Michigan, obviously we have pretty dramatic winters and stuff like that. So unless you can travel, you can't drag race during the winter. So my dad worked at a high performance racing store, and around the corner happened to be a little hobby shop. So he just ventured over there one day on lunch or something like that to some of the restaurants and found the remote control cars thing. So he's like, "Hey, would this be something you'd be interested in doing during the winter?" And as a kid, of course, I'm like, "Yeah, sure. What the heck? Let's try it. It's your money, not mine." Um, so we got into it doing that at our local Don Polsky Hall up in Wyandotte, Michigan, which is probably the oldest remote control car track in the state. So doing the drag racing thing, doing that as a kid.
Oh, so you drag race as a kid?
Well, so going to the drag strip with my dad all the time, like when I was getting into it, juniors were just becoming popular, little junior dragsters. And I was like probably 11, 10, yeah, probably 11, 12 years old. And my dad's like, well, I'm not going to spend that much money on a car. In 3-4 years, you're going to be into a real car anyways. So, but anyways, we used to have Detroit Dragway. We have Milan Dragway. And there's probably 7-8 drag strips in Michigan that's fully functional. So, I did that throughout middle school and high school, going to the drag strip with my dad and stuff like that. Then got a little bit older, started my own thing. Then got a little bit away from that. I never ended up buying a car, but then I got into motocross, and that took over the last 10 years of my life, basically. Doing motocross, there's every track around here. We probably have 12 tracks in Michigan that are within a 2-mile driving radius of each other. So, the funny thing is most of the people that race remote control cars race motocross too, or have some kind of relation with it and stuff like that. Just the fundamentals are a lot of the same, and it's off road, and you're outside camping, hanging out with friends and stuff like that. So, like I said earlier, Al Horn and stuff like that, he still races. He's a plus 50 rider that's still fast as could be. And then his boy, Austin, races. We go to the track with him. Then Aiden, obviously, is kicking butt in the RC scene.
He's a professional RC racer.
Yeah, I grew up when them kids were yelling at each other over a juice box, So it's been a long road watching those kids grow and develop, which has been really cool. But then I actually fell into a race car. Like my brother-in-law had to sell a car, so I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Then my wife's like, well, now that you're into drag racing, are you going to give up motocross? I'm like, heck no. I fell into this. I didn't voluntarily I didn't get injured like a lot of people do, older. I usually take it pretty easy considering I have to go to work on Monday. I can't be doing triples and stuff like that on Sunday and Saturday, trying to, hurt myself. So, but doing the Power Wheels thing,
so let's retract. You did have a full scale drag race car, right?
I do now.
Okay. So you do. Oh, so you do drag race?
Correct. I
on
do
the side.
Yes.
What type of full scale car do you drag race?
I have a 2000 Chevy Camaro.
Ooh, and what are you doing on the track?
Well, it's got an LS turbocharged and stuff like that, and I've been working on it all winter, gutting it out. Those cars are from the factory pretty heavy,
Mm.
I've been trying to lighten it up as much as I can. I'm not on the Alex Teeter stage with a 9-second, Civic or anything like that, but it's a fun little car just to start out with. It's budget
Okay.
friendly, so
Okay. Absolutely. All right. So it's funny because we have to talk about this because we know a lot of the same people we're talking about here. Al
correct.
Horn, his sons, and it seems like I mean, I'm going to go on a tangent, and people are like, you always talk about RC in this. Well, because you are an RC guy,
Correct.
and we're now into Power Wheels. But it seems like Michigan has produced a lot of good RC racers, and I didn't realize that Michigan was so deep into RC, motocross, and
Oh
even
yeah,
drag racing.
yeah. We're very much an outdoor activity state. We're besides obviously fishing, hiking, and stuff like that. We're the Motor City, man. Everything that revolves around a motor, we're into deeply. So
Interesting. I was just up in Michigan too. We were
yeah,
supposed to earlier about a few weeks ago.
yeah. Fortunately, when I was down there, or when you were up here, had to take a job down in Ohio, so I was about 4 hours away in order to fund my Mexican vacation that I went on right after that. So Cancun was beautiful, and so that's how that we missed each other in person, or I would have gladly went up there and met you in person.
Absolutely. So you knew about my podcast and the RC scene and all that stuff before we actually found out that you was in the Power Wheels because I on the last pod I said, oh yeah, no, Brian is an RC racer, and he was like, I didn't know that.
Yeah, like it's pretty nice being able to blend one hobby to another because I'll get into a little bit more about that later. Um 90% of the electronics are the same. So with the given aspect of going brushless compared to brushed, brushed is, simple. You got 4 components
Mhm,
compared to brushless and stuff like that. So I've been doing the remote control car thing and long enough to watch that evolution from nickel metal hydrate
mhm.
brushed cars. It's 27 turn brushed to going to 17.5 stock, going to lipo, then the vision of life high, or is it life high?
Life E or something,
Yeah,
high voltage one.
it's been a pretty cool transition over the years and stuff like that, and it's just the evolution of the hobby, and, I would love to see Power Wheels do the same thing because I don't know if you've watched all of, like, Alec Teeter's videos. He shows 5-gallon buckets, 5-gallon buckets of blown up motors and stripped out gears from
Mm.
all his testing and stuff like that, and they say that brushless is economically better. I'm like, "Dude, you got 2 grand worth of motor sitting in that
What do you
one
mean
bucket."
brushed is economically better or brushless?
Everybody says that brushed, yes, it's cheaper to get going because, like I said, there's less components.
Mhm.
But like I said, he just blew that out of the water. If you're going to the outlaw class, you can pretty much throw the price out the window because that's just like any type of racing. You're going to dump much money into it as to be able to go as fast as you possibly can. So the economics in that is totally out the window.
Okay. Well, we're gonna touch on that. We're
Yes,
gonna touch on that. Let's talk about how okay, so we know you did RC racing, motocross, and now you're doing drag racing. You
correct.
have 2 children that
I have
I
two
mentioned when
children.
we were
Yes,
talking last night. So your daughter, Emery, is the Power Wheels racer.
correct.
How did how did we get from RC and motocross and drag racing to young Emery being I know you're involved with you're doing a lot of racing with the Lapeer
Correct.
kids group up there in
Yep.
Michigan,
Correct.
and you've had some events here. Tell us how that kind of happens. Like, how did you go get your daughter and you into the Power Wheels race scene, modification race scene?
All right. So this actually happened in a very short amount of time. It's only probably been 8 months.
Okay.
So I just was online and I happened to see a video about Power Wheels racing stuff like that. Like, oh, that's cool. They're having a Power Wheels racing up in my local track for a no prep event and stuff like that. And I just kept that in the back of my mind. Then during this winter, I was like, well, I can't race, yada yada yada. What can I do to tinker on? And I was like, all right, well, let's try building one of these, excuse me, one of these Power Wheels drag cars. So I built one, um, and I showed my brother-in-law. He's like, "Oh, that's cool, man." My brother-in-law has 2 girls and a boy. The boy is 5, Carter, and he's a daredevil. This kid's all about everything he can get on, he jumps and he just flies. He has got dirt bikes and stuff like that. So, and he's like, yeah, I'd like to get one for my son too. I was like, all right, well, they're all here on Facebook Marketplace all over the place. So I ended up buying him one. Then I ended up buying another one. Then I ended up buying another one. So right now we're building our sixth car. And so we have a couple different classes around here. Obviously, we run like a stock class that's you're not allowed to do anything to it. You're got to run the heavy Power Wheels battery and everything like that to it. Some places allow you to put rubber on the tire, get a little bit more traction, because as soon as the kids take off, it just spins like crazy on those hard plastic tires. So some places allow us to put rubber on the tires. Then this one place that we're going to be racing at, the Central Ohio Power Wheels Group, does a 12-volt modified class. So you're allowed to run any 12-volt battery, any motor combination, stuff like that. But it's limited on voltage. Instead of putting a motor limit on it, they do a voltage limit. Then they also have their premier class, which is 24-volt modified, which same thing, you're allowed to run 24-volt and you're allowed to do anything else to the car. But, obviously with something like that, there's safety restrictions. They require a helmet, seatbelt, wheelie bar, cutoff switches, and stuff like that. So being from the RC world, I know all these manufacturers of batteries. So I was able to get, great 12-volt 3-cell lipos, 6-cell lipo batteries and stuff like that, which kind of cracks me up that some people claim that Amazon batteries are just as good, and stuff like that. You wouldn't run a Amazon ZEP battery in your 8-scale truggy and expect it
No,
to perform. So I
no.
don't really understand how some of these people are like, oh, I just buy the cheap Amazon batteries and we go. I'm like, that's a huge difference
I think
between.
they're good. I just don't think they last as long, you know?
They don't
They're not
have half as
powerful.
much punch. They don't hold the milliamps. They don't hold the voltage. I'm running a 8800 250C 3-cell lipo that's built for drag racing and my 12-volt modified. And these guys are running uh 5,000 50C batteries. I'm like, that you can't even compete with that. I don't understand the mindset.
150C.
Yeah.
You need like 100, like up to 150C and all that stuff now.
That's what I'm
No,
saying. I'm running 250C
yeah, there
batteries.
you go. See, even more
So,
than I thought.
yeah. So that kind of blows my mind that these guys are running such little batteries.
Oh,
Like,
because they're expensive, right? Those
not
light bulbs
really.
aren't cheap.
Like, so my batteries only, you go on the website right now and buy them for $60 US.
Well, that's not bad at all.
No, and they're paying, but these other guys are paying 20, maybe $60 for a 2-pack of batteries.
Got you. Got you.
Yeah, I get, people are trying to be economical about the situation. It is just a toy. We're just playing with stuff like that. But like I said earlier, if you're going to the faster classes and stuff like that, that economics is out the window. I don't
Okay.
care what anybody says. You're spending a lot of money on stuff like that.
All
So
right.
brake
I,
kits for the cars are $280 for a Power Wheel. That's not cheap. That's more than people have in their whole car. So that's what I'm saying. You could
all right.
you can spend as much as you want on these things.
Just like RC,
Yes,
just like
absolutely.
any hobby. I want to retract. So, what was when you went looking for cars? So, I don't know how old you are. I guess we're around the
I'm
same
40.
age. Okay, so you're well, about I go 47 this year. So we kind of, you and I kind of grew up in the 80s,
Yeah.
90s when we would see those Power Wheels commercials and all that type of stuff. I used to see him. I remember one kid had one next door. He was like a younger than me, and I remember just trying to charge up that damn battery that wouldn't hold a charge. It was so
So,
crazy.
great story with that. When I was kid, I had the Suzuki LT 500R Quadzilla Power Wheels. That's what my dad bought me. So I was cruising all around, going 3 miles per hour, and when this little Power Wheels thinking it was the greatest thing on earth. And the dang battery would always go out. And my dad was like, screw this. I'm going to put a car battery in it because they're so much bigger. It'll last so much longer. He put that in there. I took off. I thought I was flying. I was going like 5 miles per hour. I thought as a little kid, I was just geeked as heck. Then all of a sudden, the dang thing caught on fire. Like my dad had to come up and jump and pull me off of it because it burnt all the wires and smoked it and stuff like that. Like that's one of my earliest childhood memories too, is driving around on this 4-wheeler and catching it on fire.
It kind of tugs on our memories. It's
Oh
very
yeah.
I know people's gonna say, "You keep comparing this to RC," but it's similar to RC. We used to see that Tamiya frog, that Tamiya Hornet, or that Tamiya Grasshopper, or one kid in the neighborhood that quality grade, hobby grade, racing grade RC car.
Yeah,
We still had those Nikas and Taikas and all that type of stuff that took 12 AA batteries that lasted 8 minutes.
correct.
Um, but I remember when I started getting into this with Alan, and my daughter was asking for this, and it tugged on this
Oh, yeah,
the
dude, that
memory.
video of her ripping around in that dune racer, dude, that was awesome.
W
I
we actually, shameless plug to our sponsor, ML Toys. I just put that stage 4,
It in it, yeah.
it in it, and I was like, "You gotta take it easy," and she just went,
Yeah, she that was full send. She didn't
I was
care
like, "Okay."
anything. That's how my nephew was racing too, it's great. I got some videos of him. He just pulls wheelies going all crooked, and they don't have fear yet, so it's
No.
great.
So, when you did discover Power Wheels, what did you end up getting?
So
What was you
I
looking
have 6 C7 Corvettes. So
Oh.
they seem to be the most popular one of the most popular ones to turn into drag cars besides the NASCAR and the Lightning McQueen body and stuff like that that everybody runs. Those ones are pretty pricey though. Like
Mm,
the NASCAR ones are going for like $200 around the US. And
mm.
that
That's
I got
used.
yeah, that's a used one that somebody has that's their kid outgrew and stuff like that. But the C7 Corvettes, you could find those in between 40 and $80.
Really? And
$80 yeah,
these
$80 come
Power
with
Wheels?
a battery and
Sorry.
a charger.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Are these like the official Power Wheels
Yeah, just
versions?
like the one
Okay.
that's in the picture right below me.
Oh, there we go, there we go.
Yeah.
See, I'm still learning all of this, so thank you.
Yeah, they take all the same kind of, gearboxes and, people put the different tires on them with adapters and stuff like that. They're very, very light
Mhm.
cars, so that's nice when dad has to carry them around. Um, so, yeah, we,
Well,
like
did
I
you
said, we're building our
did you
6th one right now.
so when you bought it, was it did you automatically get right into modifying it
Oh,
before
yes,
you
the day I got them, I gutted them. I took everything out of them. I kept the wire harness. I tried keeping most of the stuff intact just because we do race stock class. So if
Mhm.
something was to happen, I have another spare part that I took out of the ones that I've changed out. But yeah, as soon as we get them, I great thing about Amazon up here, you can get everything in a day or 2. So I've ordered solenoids, battery connectors, all the, terminals, everything like that, and it's at my house the next day, so I could keep, you know, going with that. Then I'll watch countless videos on how people are trying different stuff. It's, um, just to build them out, yeah. It's very, very simple when
So
you're using a brush system.
so you dove deep and you followed that rabbit right down the hill.
Oh, yeah, like, I with my background and stuff, like, we never leave anything alone. We gotta tinker it, we gotta make it go faster, you know? That's
What
what
did your
the
daughter think of it?
she's scared to death of our fast one because
Really?
it pulls wheelies, and I just built a wheelie bar for it and stuff like that. She's a little on the cautious side of that, but my nephew, he rode that thing right out, dragged the rear bumper, and that was at our indoor event this past February. He loves the speed, so we're
Well, that's
building them
sorry,
with
go ahead.
we're building them with wheelie bars right now to keep them down, and, unfortunately, with that becomes, traction issues and stuff like that, so we're learning. Like I said, I'm only 8 months into this,
Yeah, tell it. Well,
so
so how do you go from buying a car? Okay, when you bought the car, did you already know about the drag racing and all that type of stuff?
oh, yeah. That
Okay.
was the whole reason I sought out these Corvettes. Like, with me working, I work all over the country. So every
Mhm.
time I go to a different place, I, do a Facebook marketplace search of that area and try finding I just search Power Wheels Corvette and see what one pop up and whether it's, within driving distance or what the price is on them. So I just happen to be in the right places at the right time a bunch of times just to pick them up.
Awesome,
So
awesome, awesome. You got a little race team now.
oh,
You,
yeah,
your
we're starting
brother.
out, the whole goal is to obviously get all the kids into junior dragsters or something like that because I hope it's hereditary that once you get that speed in your blood, it's hard to get away from, racing, going fast. That adrenaline is 1 to none. So I hope that, like I said, my dad drags race, my grandpa, we used to race motocross. My great grandpa was into car racing. He probably raced Model Ts, to be honest, my great grandpa. But if anything, yeah, he was always tinkering. So I hope my kids are into that too. My one little boy that's 6 months or 16 months old, we got him a little push wagon, and he loves riding around that. He loves sitting there watching us. Um, Unfortunately, he was in the hospital for a good stint after he was born. So we'd go up there, and my father-in-law would be watching drag racing videos on his phone, and I'd go up there every weekend when I wasn't working and watch Supercross with him. And now every time that stuff comes on, it has his full attention.
Oh, he'll be
So,
into it.
oh yeah, so we're already grooming him.
Mm. So
So
tell us about your first race. What was some of the things you learned when you went?
So the very first race I actually went to was put on by Josh Roberts. It was his winter extravaganza race at a uh, fairground. We only brought 3 cars at that time because that's all we had. We had a stock, a battery powered one that was just a stock, but just a battery in our drill battery in it. And then we had so all our cars are named after cartoon characters too. So it's kind of funny. Like we have a blue one that is Bluey. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with that cartoon, but then my daughter's black one, she named it Wednesday Adams after the Addams family. Then we have our stock one, which is Hey Hey, which is that little rooster from Moana,
Yes,
little cross-eyed rooster.
remember.
Then those are my daughter's cars. Then my nephew's car, he's going to have Wreck-'em Ralph, which is a red. That's going to be his fast one. Then he's got on the TV show Bluey too. There's a little girl that's named Muffin, and she's kind of very enthusiastic person. She's always crazy and stuff like that. This is how normal kids are that
Mhm.
have short attention spans and stuff like that. They're just bounce from wall to wall to wall to wall to wall, and that's what we named that one after because it's white. Then he has another red one that he wanted to name Spider-Man. So we have little logos on the hoods that represent each of the cars. Instead of by going by numbers, we just write down the car name when we go to a race.
Okay.
So but back to that first one that we went to, we were pretty set up. Like I converted my motocross trailer into the Power Wheels trailer. So I put like a second deck inside of mine. So now I can hold the 6 cars and a little 6x12. Um, it's I have a toolbox and stuff like that. And when we got there, I went to Harbor Freight and bought little paint stands that fold up. So we got there, we folded all these paint stands up, sat the cars up on them and stuff like that. And everybody's like looking at us like, holy crap, this guy's the real deal. Then I get out my charger for the batteries, and it's my full blown iCharger for my remote control cars. And, it has all the graphs on it, and everybody's like, what's that? We have a normal plug-in to the wall, and you got over here with this basically computer charging all your batteries and stuff like that. I'm like, well, that's what it takes, to run LiPo batteries and stuff like that. So that was pretty interesting coming from, my background, like I said, going over there and putting a little bit of different spin on
Yeah,
what
like
people are like to see. So
traveling like a well, I would compare it to like a RC racer,
yeah.
coming there with all your stuff and setting up because that's how a lot of racers come. Trailers, campers,
Oh
full
yeah.
pit setup, and all that type of jazz.
Yeah, I have a 38-foot fifth wheel camper that I take with me to remote control car races that has a 12-foot garage and I everything in it. So we're all decked out. Over the years, it's evolved from a 10 by 10 easy up and fold up chairs to, saving on money and buying, you see one person like, oh, that's a good idea. I'm going to put my own spin on that. But back to that extravaganza race, Josh did a heck of a job.
Mhm.
So with all these, um,
How'd you guys make out?
so we took first in the stock class and second in the outlaw class. In the
Okay.
bracket class, I think we made it down to semifinals.
And
So,
how many I would say how many people are attending these type of
I
races?
think I think he said he had, like, 32 entries for that race. It's not really it's all that was just a charity event, but,
Mhm.
it was and like I said, Josh and those guys put on a heck of a race, man. They have a very, very nice timing system, which unfortunately is, like, the main wall you gotta break down to, do any of these events unless you do cameras and a flashlight, like old school street racing, timing
Mhm.
systems are so expensive.
Really?
So, like they're 15 to 18 to 2 grand for a timing
Okay.
system just to, and that's not even a computer. That's just the timing system and stuff like that. So that's the major thing that all these groups that are doing drag racing, that's their first battle is to be able to get a timing system
Mhm.
because then that opens up the possibility of doing bracket racing, and you have a win light of the kids getting familiar with the actual what we call a Christmas tree,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So that's a pretty big barrier. Like
It's like getting a lap common system for a RC track. It's
correct.
expensive.
Oh, the freaking
A and B, the
yeah,
MyLaps?
the MyLaps, when they took over that whole thing from the AMB, that was revolutionary because then we had full-blown computer readouts, live timing, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was a big evolutionary step in that hobby.
I have a question. So are these purpose-built trees that people are buying, or are
No,
they
it's the same thing as a drag strip tree. So it
okay.
has the pre-stage, stage, then the 3 ambers, then the green, then the red.
Okay,
So
so it's the same
it's
size as full scale.
they make them full scale.
Okay,
Normal trees at a drag strip, I don't know, probably sit 6 feet off the ground.
okay,
But these ones, they're little kids, and so they maybe sit a foot off the ground and stuff
okay.
like that. Alex Teeter has a really good system too with the buffer down the middle in case kids get all whacked out. They got the cushions and stuff like that.
Now the
When Josh did it, he had just wood on the sides, which was like
mm,
little guardrails and stuff like that. So,
n
but
now
very
was this an indoor event or outdoor event that you
this was during it was in February, so it was indoor. So
mhm,
that was the biggest challenge, to be honest, because when we raced indoor, the shutdown after the finish line was kind of short. So they opened the garage door, and the kids that went really fast could go out the door. But the most difficult part was this is kind of like a convention center,
mhm,
kind of where they host like receptions or something like that. So the concrete was polished, almost like a almost like
I know what you're talking about.
like a urethane bottom and stuff like
Very
that.
slippery.
Yeah, so getting traction on that was a pain in the butt. Everything was slipping and sliding, the kids are steering the car. It's very that's just like road drag racing, traction is always gonna be an issue. Wherever you go, you gotta adapt. So that's what we've actually been working on in my house lately is, doing the no prep, uh, tire preparation and stuff like that. Because these events we're going to be going to is in a parking lot. So I've been going down to my local school, just luckily just down the road, and we've been practicing in the parking lot, doing test sets and seeing what works, what doesn't work, what we have to adjust, stuff like that. Then, shout out to ML Toys. I finally burnt up my first set of motors yesterday over gearing. Uh, we tried some new traction foam on the car, and it really works great. And it
Mhm.
put way too much stress on them motors. As soon as my daughter stopped, I could smell the motors just frying. And previously, it was fine. It would pull the front tires. We'd go, not a problem. These motor, I have them in my other car too that we're currently building. These
Mhm.
motors were perfectly fine. But then, as soon as we put a heavy load on them, they didn't like it. So I actually talked to Alex or Alan yesterday, and he's got his new generation of 775s coming out. So he was going to see if those are the ones he actually has in stock, and I was going to buy some replacements today.
Yeah, I talked to him yesterday. He's actually, I think tomorrow heading out to Rockingham.
Yeah, those guys are going down for that big event. Those man, that's on a completely different level.
I know.
Those I have no idea how the heck Alex got all that funding for all the like his I hope he didn't invest in himself because that's a lot of money. But he's
Mhm,
got canopies that are all custom embroidered to the Oxford. He's got flags. He's got all, like I said, all the air cushions, all the track dividers and stuff like that. He's easily got
really?
7,500 into his track setup when he goes and sits down. If you actually add up everything, he's got a lot of money invested into that program. Don't get me wrong; that's probably obviously the best program running in the country right now.
Absolutely.
Those
He
guys those guys have unmatchable, promotion and everything right now, especially with him getting with the street outlaw guys and stuff like that. That's absolutely amazing. I wish the only thing that he did a little bit different is he's starting to do it now is, the whole thing he based it on, I get why he did it, is to help his son's racing career start off.
Mhm.
Just kinda I don't know if you watch motocross or anything like that, but the Deegans did it with their son. They filmed everything, watched him coming up. That got a huge, he uses that as a negotiation when he does his contracts. He's like, "Hey, I got 1.3 million YouTube followers, that follow me." That's huge, and he was doing all that for his son, which, don't get me wrong, that's a great, great way of going. But, now he's starting to, break off a little bit to his actual teeter built,
Mhm.
and he has his son's YouTube channel because his son's getting into that quarter midget, round track racing stuff too,
Mhm.
and he's actually doing a lot better job of, doing demonstration videos of, "Hey
Yes.
hey, this is my part, this is how it goes on." Before then, I felt that he was very vague. Like,
Mhm.
"Here, we put a solenoid in it." That's all he would say. He wanted to tell us what type of solenoid it was, where he got, now he's actually getting into a little bit more detail about stuff. And, that's what people watch the YouTube videos for. As
Absolutely.
far as I'm into this, I want to see how to do it. And everybody in the world says, if you look on any forum on Facebook, it says, go watch his videos, go watch his videos. I'm like, his videos are kind of vague though. Like, you can pause it and look and try to find the same part online, try to cross reference it or something like that. But now he's doing, like I said, he's doing a much better job now with the first video I think he did that actually was in detail was when he started somebody I think down in Texas showed it to him, that little white solenoid that's
Mhm.
actually out of a Tesla car, and,
Mm.
they're using those instead of the golf cart solenoids now. They're small,
Mm.
they're compact, they can handle, like, 900 volts at 500 amps. It's actually if you were to buy the solenoid new, it was like $500.
Okay.
But you can find them on eBay for 30, $40. These people, I don't know where these people are getting them from, but he put a link on his video after doing it, and, like, that was the very first video I've seen him actually go into good detail about what
Mhm.
parts he's using and stuff like that, besides plug in all of his own parts that are now available at ML Toys with,
Yep.
motor plates, and they're coming out with the wheelie bars. They just came out with the motor stabilizer or steering stabilizer the other day. So
I think, I think maybe he also I have to watch a lot of his videos. I haven't watched a lot of his past videos, but I think it's good because I think what Alex is doing with the Fast Kids clubs and getting involved, it's impressive. Like, I
oh,
really
yeah,
like
very
social
much.
media. His son's good at what he does. His cars are fast, and I think, he realizes that people wanna be at that top level, so you gotta teach people how to do that. There's not much information out there on this type of stuff.
Correct. That's
So
what that's why I'm saying he's finally starting to do that a lot bit
yeah.
more. There's other guys that were, um, doing a little bit better of a job, like, they'd go over full build.
Mhm.
This one guy I'm following, um, he's actually building 2 cars for some of the street outlaw guys, and he went through step by step all the parts on the table, and,
Really?
he would say, "Yes, I bought, this part for Oxford, it's the motor plates and stuff like that." He actually went through and he's doing little by little by little videos. He did a really good job too.
Shoot me the link for that so I can check it out. Sure,
Um,
when we get a
yeah,
chance.
so they're getting there. With this hobby being as new as it is, it's gonna take a lot of evolutionary turns and stuff like that, so, um
How new is it? Because you heard people say that it's been around for a while, but it's
so the only person I know that's been doing it a really long time is, John Jones in, like, Grand Rapids, Michigan. He's been doing it for better part of 10 years,
Mm.
but then, like, drag racing really took off in 2017, 2018 with the act far as I know, the Central Power Sports guys did it at, Pacemakers Dragway. They were trying to get, more kids involved and stuff like that, and this was one of the good economical ways of getting kids involved in drag racing. So they started in 2017, but, like, actually did full blown racing in 2018.
Mm.
So, like I said, I'm gonna be going down there. I built all my cars to run their rules. Everywhere you go is gonna have a little bit different rules too. It was just kind of funny because where I'm located, I can go 8 hours over to Oxford, I can go 8 hours over to Minnesota, I could go 8 hours south. I can hit all these different groups. And everybody has a little bit of different rules on how they do stuff, which is great because, they're doing what caters to them to get people involved. They're going to
Mhm.
make the rules up to get as many people in the racing as they can. And I know previous episode you're talking about like maybe having a national rule set where everybody can go from place to place. But the sport's too new for that.
Okay.
We're just trying to get people involved still. I personally believe that they're going to do each group's going to do whatever it takes to get kids to come. So whether
Mhm.
it's running just a stock class, running drill battery only, they're just trying to get people involved still. Will it eventually become a track like I know you have your opinions about Roar, back to the RC thing where they set out a full guideline and everybody follows those rules. Will it eventually come to that? Who knows? Depends on how well this takes off. Um, I really, I really don't care if there's set rules, to be honest, because the type of racing I like is bracket racing.
Mhm.
So me having a stock car, you having a full blown outlaw car, it doesn't matter. Because that's what the timing system does. It's a handicap where say I'm going to run 2 seconds down the track and you're going to run 1 second. It gives me exactly a 1 second head start. So
Good.
it
Mhm.
devolves on how fast the person is on the light and who can, hit that finish line closest to what they say they're gonna run. It's all
Right.
about consistency, so
So similar. So I retract
yeah.
to the Rockingham race that those guys are
Correct,
doing. It's got the Pinks reboot, and
correct.
Pinks was Pink Slips. If you're, I think it was on Speed TV back in the day.
Yeah, Speed, Motor Trend, whatever whoever area I think you were into actually kinda covered it, but that guy I think his name was Rick, the bald guy that ran it and
Mhm.
stuff like that. That guy was trying for years to get that show to go in the first place, and then it took off. It was kinda like a bottle rocket, and just went shoo, poof, and it was
Yeah.
done. But then they came out with, like, Pastime and stuff like that. That's kinda cool.
But
I'm
if I
interested to
remember
see this Pinks 2.0 because
if I
it's like
remember correctly, in Pinks, they used to do so they're obviously like bracket racing, like you said. So instead of having it on the tree, a car will get a certain length. So head
well,
start on them.
okay, so that was a little bit different. That
Okay.
was heads up racing, but the guys 2 people came to the show. One "Alright, here's my card, here's my card." The other guys got to go up and look at it, and, this is totally off topic of Power Wheels, by the way. Um, um, and, they got to look at each other's card, and they got to negotiate whether they wanted, 1 length, 2 length, or whatever, but as soon
Copy.
as he dropped his hands, it was whoever made it to the, finish line first won that round, and I think they did best 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 5. I can't remember how exactly it went, but like I said, that was years and years ago. But the new Rockingham race they're doing with 2.0, I guess it's like some kind of team where they got groups of people going on or something like that. It's going to be interesting to watch to see how they actually panned it out because a couple of people I follow on YouTube are building cars for it, and they didn't exactly go into great detail about the race, but
It's gonna be
it's
interesting.
yeah,
I'll be picking
I
Adam's
hope
brain about it. I'll be in
yeah,
contact with him.
I hope that when they do it, they actually get footage of the kids racing Power Wheels and stuff like that, and, just a glimpse or something like that, Alan talked about, doing a bunch of B-roll and photo shoots and stuff like that down there. That's gonna be cool being at a actual drag strip, getting all that kind of footage for them group.
Well,
Um,
that's the cool thing about this,
yeah,
right? Because if you've well, we've always talked about making RC racing go mainstream, and how cool it would be. I mean, one of my dreams is to have like a RC race alongside a motocross race, or something similar. But Power Wheels seems in the drag racing world, and even in the like I know there's some off-road racing, some demolition. I think it's demolition derbies.
yeah, I've seen some
It's in
demo,
front of people, so it's getting eyes on it. And now we see. I kudos to Alex and those guys at the Fast Kids Club. So they got the outlaw guys, farm truck, and Asian involved in it. They're promoting it, so you can see it's a big thing because you get eyes on it. It's we talked to Alex. He thinks it's a great way for kids to get into drag racing and motorsports and all that stuff, and for parents at a very reasonable price point. Uh,
correct,
Asian and farm truck said the same thing, and obviously, I'll be honest with you. I grew up in Bermuda. We didn't have drag racing and stuff like that, so I don't really know much about drag racing, but it fascinates me, right? And
Yeah.
I want to attend one of these events. But I think being able to have this alongside of these big events is only going to grow things more because these guys who are racing, they have probably kids too,
Oh, yeah.
and they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this." So this is the beginnings. I know when I started this with Alan, he was like, "Oh, the racing side of it's very small compared to it's similar to the RC. The racing side is small compared to the
Bash
modification
the
side,
bashing side, yeah.
bashing side, right?"
Yeah.
In RC, bashing is where the money is. If you look on
Well,
in
yeah,
YouTube,
because they break stuff, then you have to go to repair and reprint. That's the whole point of buying high grade stuff.
but even on
Yeah,
YouTube, the bashing RC stuff is huge compared to like what I do with just
yeah,
the podcast for racing. So I get that, right? Racing in RC is very small, but racing in the Power Wheels is small. But what it is doing is getting the attention and getting the eyes on it as well.
right.
So you can only see it getting bigger because I think it's similar to RC where people just don't know that people are out here doing this. I sure it was funny because here in the DR, I live in the Dominican Republic. One of the guys in our crawler group, RC crawler group, he shared a video of a Fast Kids thing, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that too with my daughter, right? And they're like, what? This is a thing? I was like, yeah. So I
Yeah,
think we have that same issue, but with Power Wheels, it's bigger. Everybody can do it, right? You can go get a Power Wheels from somewhere. It's more visible. It's physical compared
yeah,
to RC
yeah,
where
you're
you
actually in the car,
yeah,
so
and when you talk to Alex, like some of the cars these guys are hitting, they're hitting, like preparing you for actual drag racing with brake and all this type of stuff. And I think the more events we do like this, and then of course talking to you up there in Michigan, it looks like you have a great community up there. And I'm sure over the course of the next year that I'm doing this, I'm going to meet other communities. But I think it will be great at some point if we start seeing these races getting a little bit bigger and we get maybe the best cup racers from this region and the best racers from this region. And I would love to see the racing side of things in the drag racing side of things have like maybe a national race. A nationals would be
yeah.
awesome if
A
we could
couple
do that.
guys are putting on what they call nationals and stuff like that, but it all boils down to, logistics, whether
Mhm,
you can afford to drive those right now, those guys from Texas are driving to Rockingham and stuff like that. That's a huge fuel bill and stuff like that. If you can swing it, but if you actually look at these guys' facilities, like when Alex went down to Texas and raced with the Little Rascals and stuff like that, if you looked at the house they were at, it was a $5 million facility. These
mhm,
people, some of these guys have some money that
mhm.
you could tell they're grooming the kids in order to build a drag
Gotcha.
car, build stuff like that stuff. It's all their evolution. That way they're going to evolve their kid. And so instead of sticking them in front of a tablet, they're actually making them, develop coordination and stuff like that. Because, like I said, me and you, when we were young, I don't know about you guys, but we were limit. You went outside, you stayed outside all damn day. You drink,
Mhm.
you know, I'm going to sound a little bit old, but we drank hose water. We had to get our butts in before the street lights came on, stuff like that. That's how we
Pedal bike,
grew.
skateboards, all that stuff.
Yeah, bicycles, playing street hockey. That's all the stuff we did. Play baseball. We were never inside, but with
Nowadays, even my son, gamer.
yeah,
I love gaming, but he will do nothing but game. You think I have all this cool RC stuff? Nah, he'll do it. If I take him and go do it, he's good at it,
yeah.
but he's a gamer. But so it's good. We need to get kids outside, right? Get
So
kids outside
yeah,
and
that
doing
was like the one guy that made imports those that whole brand of line. That was his whole thing, is to get the kids outside and doing something. So luckily enough, my kids are running outside as soon as they get inside, from school. They're like, oh, shoes off, we're going outside. And they go
right.
out and jump on the trampoline and stuff like that. So luckily I'm blessed with having kids that aren't completely bound by the screen.
And not only that, your daughter's 6,
Correct.
so and we know that the Power Wheels thing has a age limit. They get to an age where they move on to
Correct.
other
Well,
right?
it's basically designed on, like, physical size. Once you
Mhm.
get to 11, 10, 11, you're physically too big to fit into the
Yeah.
cars. Like, my niece is like that now. Poor Rue, when she races, she gets done, she has bruises on her shins because she's tucked in next to the steering wheel. She's a great driver. She's great on light stuff like that, but she's physically getting too big to run. So, the guys up at Lapierlo asked me, would she be interested in driving a junior dragster? And I was
Oh.
like, well, that, because they have a couple of them that their kids probably outgrew, and they
Mhm.
have, thousands invested into these cars where they just don't want them to sit. But I would like them to have a few more years of racing. Well, maybe at least one more year because she's going to be too big to get the fundamentals down, understand how it goes and stuff like that before we advance into it. But yeah, like you said, these guys, Alex starting his little daughter out at 2 years old running modified and stuff like that, and so, that's one of my
She's a
goals.
fast car. I
Yeah.
saw she I was
Oh, yeah,
watching a review the other day.
she's moving, so he's claiming the fastest 2-year-old in the Power Wheels now, so that's his claim to fame right now. So I got a 16-month-old that's gonna be coming up, so we're gonna put a
There you
little,
go.
yeah,
There
I'm
you go.
gonna be, grooming him to take on, Chloe, I believe her name is.
Yeah.
Um,
But
so
I love that stuff. So, to me, it seems like Power Wheels is a viable gateway to full scale racing,
correct.
to for some people, to full scale drag racing at some point,
I
or
hope it is
whatever form of
because
racing.
it seems honestly like if you go to I know you said you've never been to a drag racing event, but honestly, in probably the last 10 years, man, attendance has dropped dramatically at all these facilities. It's a hard thing to keep doors open at facilities like that, that's how they make money and stuff like, and then insurance prices have gone through the roof with people have to pay liability insurance and stuff like that. So, you know, a lot of these people preach these are your future racers, so you should, you know yes, there is certain groups that cater to the juniors, but not all of us can physically afford a $15,000 race program for a kid. So that's what these Power Wheels give us, a little bit of a stepping stone to get into that. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so
So,
that's what the Central Ohio guys, they preach night and day, and that's why they made their rules the way they are to be budget friendly. And
give us an
w-
example of some of their rules then.
okay, like the 12-volt modified class and stuff like that. You can't. You're so like I said, 12-volt battery. You're allowed to do whatever you want else to the car, but 24-volt mod, they limited them to one motor per gearbox. Unlike Alex's Outlaws, where you're running 2 motors per gearbox and unlimited battery, even though most of them still only run a 6-cell because I heard the 7 cells like to blow stuff apart, having too much voltage. And like we've talked earlier about the amount of motors and gearboxes and stuff that they tear up trying to test this stuff. Um, so he's trying to make it very, very much budget friendly. He comes from a bit of a background where racing Division 3 IHRA, it's not $100,000 car. It may be a $10,000 car that you get into and bracket race. Everybody comes from different economic backgrounds and stuff like that. I just happen to be blessed with what I do to be able to afford to do stuff. Then all my family's and my whole family's gearheads. So,
Mhm.
like I said, we're all from the same area of Michigan, around Detroit. So we're all born and bled, Motor City, Motor City. So we all help each other out building stuff and like that. So, um,
So, I gotta ask you, let's get into some modifications here, because I know you I wanna pick your brain about this.
sure.
Uh, what if I guess s so when you bought your first car, did you know exactly what you wanted to do?
I already
Like,
had
did
the
you
parts sitting at my house before the car got home. Yes.
okay, so since then, what have you learned? Like, each build different? I know there's
I've,
different classes,
I've,
but
yeah, I've gone a little bit from, them implementing new rules
mhm,
about like safety switches and be able to hit kill switches if the car takes away so that the adult can hit a switch up on the dashboard. Um, that's come pretty much a requirement for all the cars
mhm,
to have. Um, Traction is probably the key things, but different kind of stuff you could put on the tires to make them actually grip and go.
let's talk
Um,
about that, 'cause I don't know anything about that. I see people taping up tires.
yeah, tape
Yeah,
is good. If you have an abundance of Gorilla Tape, it works out great because you
okay.
have to redo it every time. Um, a lot of guys glue, anti-fatigue foam mats from Harbor Freight and stuff like that. They come in little 4-inch sections and pop rivet them or screw them to the tire. That works pretty good. Without giving away all my little speed secrets, I
Oh, you
found
gotta give away speed secrets.
my little thing that I found recently is actually I'll go ahead and say it is they make little like 1/8 inch or 16th inch foam that people put on the bottom of their shoes. It kind of looks like a little honeycomb. It's real soft material. That's one side it's sticky, and they cut it out and put it on the bottom of your shoes, like dress shoes and stuff like that that have flat soles, so people can have grip. You can go on Temu or anything like that and buy 16-foot rolls of this stuff, 4 inches wide, for like $8, $9. Take it and put it around. That stuff grips tremendously on top of that foam. And that's actually what I burnt out my motors yesterday trying, because I actually had so much grip that it ripped the tire off the wheel and stuff like that. So it's a little bit of a learning curve, but the bicycle tire is great too. People cut apart bicycle tires, fold them out, and screw them to the bottom. Those grip great too. I have a local bicycle shop. I just go raid their garbage can once a week and pull the tires out and cut them up, because I'm not going to spend $30 each tire when I can just go grab them out of a can and cut them up. But that's a lot less weight too.
Mhm.
So just like remote control cars and stuff like that, you're trying to reduce rotating mass.
Yes.
So more weight you take out of that stuff, the faster the car is going to go, faster it's going to accelerate. So with
Uh,
me being in that background too, I've done a whole bunch of other little stuff to remove rotating mass out of my cars and stuff like that that I hope nobody else has done yet. So when we do go to our national event this winter or this fall, with my kids being so small, like my nephew is 5, he only weighs 40 pounds.
Mhm.
And he's just like your daughter, completely fearless in the car. So if I put him in a 12-volt modified that's limited on power and stuff like that, I don't think anybody should be able to beat him, to be honest, because he has 40 pounds on it, all the kids, and the car only weighs 40 pounds. So that's a huge, huge advantage compared to all these kids. So we just got, as soon as we get him cut in a good light, I don't I don't think there's no reason physically that he shouldn't win. Because like I said, we've been over the battery thing. I've got batteries that should blow every other Amazon battery out of the water. I've done my research on all the motors, all these brush motors that are what we used to call sealed can. They come on like the
Mhm.
Tractor Slash and stuff like that. They're non-timing adjustable. And then there's other motors too that they're not 555s, which is the normal size motor that comes in a Power Wheels, or
Mhm.
the 775s, which are the bigger motors that people upgrade. There's motors in between that a lot of people, I don't know if they just don't know about, if they don't do the
Mhm.
research, but there's motors that are in between that will still run on 12 volts, but they'll give you the torque and the RPM and stuff like that. You just got to kind of got to match them a little bit, because one runs reverse, one runs forward. And so
So
far, I've only ever heard one person out of every YouTube video I've ever seen in my entire life talk about timing on a motor. So I'm like, yeah, that's a huge thing that a lot of people, I'm like, I don't know if they, because of our RC background, we know about timing on brushed motors. We know about timing on brushless motors. You know, we know about this that a lot of people never discuss. I don't know if they don't know it, but unfortunately, they run the sealed cans where they're non-adjustable. So you're locked. Some of those come 24 degrees locked advanced timing. If you have one run in the opposite direction, that's negative 24 degrees timing.
right.
That thing's going to be 9,000 RPM slower.
Exactly.
You can't have that when you run motors that are in opposite polarities. So I have a little bit of an electrical background, so along with the racing thing, I know that you have to obviously time them the same, advanced and positive, to make the RPMs go the same way. And as far as I know, I've only ever seen one manufacturer make them adjustable endo. I've talked to Alan about this. I understand that it's a huge production cost for him to do this, because obviously like you said, the racing scene is very, very small. So he's
Mhm.
not going to invest all this money into one little modification. But that plays a huge part into the timing thing. And people have talked about, oh, RPM is not all that matters. No, but when you have the RPM, you can gear it back down to have the torque and stuff like that. So that was one of the big things about the brushed versus brushless thing. That
Other people making brushless
oh yeah,
modifications out
I
there?
have one. It's bad as can be, man. Everybody says, "Oh, you can't do it. It's so expensive," and I'm like, I sit there and look at myself. I'm like, well, these guys are burning up 5-gallon buckets full of motors trying to do all the testing and stuff like that. I'm still on the original setup. I'm still on my original motor, original speed control, and I've beaten the heck out of these things. So
Now
yes, it's a little bit more of an initial cost,
mhm,
but it's like buying a cow. Yeah,
mhm.
okay, you buy a cow, you get all this beef, or you're going to go to the grocery store and spend 3 times much every week on something. If you put out the initial cost, you're going to be way farther ahead. And that one question I asked you that you actually broadcasted when you're talking to Alan is funny because you mentioned my name a few times on the podcast, and people are probably like, "Who the heck is this guy?" And I'm finally able to come out and talk to you about it. But Alan was talking. He's like, "Well, there's so much torque involved, and the gearboxes aren't made for this and stuff like that." Yes, but it really kind of confused me a little bit when he said that. Is with him knowing remote control car backgrounds too. Is we all know that all that stuff's adjustable within the speed control. We can adjust timing, advance, torque, uh, engine brake, drag brake, all that stuff's adjustable on the speed control. We don't have to slam it like we do brushed
Mhm,
motors because all it is basic. The solenoid is an on and off switch. And as soon as you hit that gas pedal, it's an on switch. It's getting full voltage to that part. Like when you see most of the people brake, it's off the very first start. As soon as they hit that gas to get traction, they strip out a gear or they brake or something like that. With brushless stuff, we have the ability to ramp up. So we could take off really, really soft and ramp up. Granted, we're running, 2.5 seconds. It's not really much time to ramp, but yeah, you can make them soft off the line and then increase RPM with timing, advanced stuff like that. So we can have it pull a lot harder on the top end. Then, as soon as the kids let off the pedal, we don't have to put a brake system on it. We can have the pedal program where you let off initially goes into the brake strength. So that saves you 200 and some dollars on a brake setup.
mhm.
You don't have to be spending motor or money on all these motors, testing and stuff like that. Like I said, I'm still on the original too. Granted, the cool part that I've seen one of my buddies, Matt make is he made a progressive pedal that transforms the physical movement into electrical signal, kind of like we do on our trigger for remote control. He managed to make that into a pedal with a
Mm,
splitter off of it. So you program both speed controls off of that one pedal. It's pretty trick little thing. So
that is
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. And he's got it where you push down a little bit. It's your neutral range. You let off, it's your brake, you push down, it's progressive into the speed control, or you can have the speed control do it itself. So,
When we're talking speed controls, are we talking like
sure.
ESCs?
Oh,
Like
yeah,
our
ESC.
ESCs?
Yeah, that's what ESC is, electronic speed control.
So
Yeah,
in your car, are you using
I use
RC?
Tegan. I use Tegan RX8s.
No way.
Yeah. So then 1900 kV motors. Yeah, they scream, and
So you can adjust everything because you can
yeah,
just hook up to the hot wire
yeah,
through
I
the
could do it.
hook it up to your computer
Yeah,
and program
I can make it
everything.
do whatever I want. I can make it sit there and do donuts, if I really wanted to. I can make it do anything in the world. And and everybody's like, "Well, a couple guys have argued with me on forums about, "Oh, well, they're not as fast. They're not as fast." It's because nobody runs them yet. No,
Now have
all
you
these rules that people come out with says no brushless, no brushless, no brushless.
okay,
That
okay.
I'm like, well, if you guys actually allow us to run them and develop in due time, so instead of us just doing them in our parking lot, this this is the next evolutionary step in this hobby. No, I don't care what anybody says. Just like
Mhm.
remote control cars, it's people are going to get sick of spending $80 for a set of motors every month. Once you buy $160 motor and it lasts you years, you're good. So
Oh, it changed RC,
yeah,
right? It brought back 10 scale racing. 10 scale racing was dead.
correct.
And it's funny when I heard guys go, "I wanna go back to brush days." And brushed in light and regular batteries. I was like, "No, you don't."
No, it was
Like,
horrible.
brushless is so
This
much
guy.
easier. So
So
there's no so nobody races brushless I didn't know
I
that.
mean, there's a couple cars set up for it, but yeah, most of the rules right off the rip, unless you go to some that Midwest Power Wheels that's in Wisconsin that
Mhm,
does it at the Moose Lodge. They have a class that's chain driven or open driven. And like I said, depends on where you go to, depends
mhm.
on the class that people are put out just to get people there. Um, but yeah, if they actually allow us to run brushless stuff, I don't see the issue with it because like when Alex talked about it a little bit, he's like, "Well, it's the cost. You know, it costs a lot of money." Yeah, the initial cost is true, but then next week you show a 5-gallon bucket of burnt out motors that you've gone through, like that.
You think the
It's
big
just
pushback is cost?
yeah,
That's the big
it
pushback
just
on it?
don't correlate with me. Then they're like, "Well, the brush is faster." Yeah, because you ain't given us time yet to develop it. The sport's only 8 years old. Give us some time to, get stuff developed and get going.
Are there other people that feel like you?
I hope so.
Well, you know what?
I
If you feel
I
like Brian, let us know in the comments.
yeah, I hope so because like, well, there has to be at least a few because like my buddy Matt made the pedal system, so he understands it. There's a couple of guys that up at Lapeer, um, that have a ridiculously fast Doom Razor. It goes like 42 into 60 feet. I mean, it's so fast that you shouldn't even go that fast in a Power Wheel, to be honest. You should not be going that fast. But then, when Alex says something, he's like, "Oh, I have the fastest brushed car in the country." Yes, yes, you do. I definitely agree with that. I'm very thankful for all the stuff you've done. Yeah, and I keep looking at that 5-gallon bucket of motors and gears you've stripped out trying all that. That's a huge investment. So, like, I'm just trying to play the long game instead of the short
How fast
go.
does your brushless car go?
Probably 26, 27 right now. But
And
like
are
I
you
said, like I said, my daughter's scared to death of it.
okay. How about your
Yeah.
nephew? He ain't scared of it, is he?
We haven't put him in it yet.
Okay.
So,
And so you're running a battery per ESC then?
nope, it's split off the same battery. I
So it's weight savings
luckily
right there.
luckily I like I said, I have my remote control car manufacturers of batteries that he made me this huge brick that's um what's a 125,000 milliamp battery.
That's a
So
big
it's
battery.
yeah, it's basically he took the ones that are for the RC drag racing cars, the bricks that those guys run, and made 3 of them into 1 for me. So, it's a 6
And that
cell instead of a 2 cell, but it
mhm.
stays the capacity stays the same, it's just ran in series, so it doubles the volt or triples the voltage as you go through. So, the capacity is the same, it's just the voltage is up there. But it's a pretty good brick, but,
And that's who does your batteries? I'm SM is it SMC you think you told me?
um
Let me put that
Yes.
down. I will
Yeah.
I'll write
Yes.
that. Hold on.
Yeah, Daniel from SMCs, I've been working with him for years, ever since we did, like, the first short course nationals in Maine. I've talked to this guy years and years and years, and he's always importing great batteries. His prices are unbeatable, like I said, that I can go get a 12-volt battery that will blow all the ones out of Amazon for $60, and that's a 8,250C drag racing battery, his products are unbeatable far as I'm
I know
concerned.
I have 2 of his batteries for my one of my RC boats that I wanna do 100 miles an hour, and he sent them to me. I haven't done 100 miles an hour yet. So it's, but I get it, and I think you're knocking on the cusp of something there, and it's funny because I didn't really as I get into this, I'm starting to realize how much RC electronics and things in
Oh, yeah.
RC
Like I said,
correlate.
that was such an easy step for me to go from one to the other. I'm like, "Okay, well, 80% of the stuff I still have in the basement. I still got a comm lathe. I still have my, brush motor dyno. I still got brush cutters. I still have brushes." All this, you know, stuff I still have in the basement. It was up on the shelf, but, since we switched to brushless, I was like, "Oh, cool. I actually get to take apart a motor and rebuild it, cut the comm, um,
Oh, you're one of
wire
them you go up in that old school time where
Oh,
people
yeah,
like
that like I said, we were running 27 turn lock timing, 1,500 red nickel cad batteries back when I first started. my first remote control car was a Traxxas Hawk. It was before the Stampede even came out.
I remember it. I remember
So
it.
then my dad had a Grasshopper. That was our thing. Then the Low C came out with the JXRT and stuff like that. So that was, yeah, that's how long I've been. It sucks when I'm actually aging myself, but
Now,
that was
I have a question.
sure.
What does your family, who are all gearheads and drag racers, what do they think? What do they think about the Power Wheel stuff?
Oh, my wife's like throw it in the camper. We're going camping. She's a complete outdoors person. She makes all the meals. She does all the all the stuff. She takes care of the kids while we're doing. She actually helps with sign up and doing tech at Lapeer. She helped us do all that. She had all the guys fill out all that stuff. She's very, very into. She's a nurse, so
Right.
she's a help person by heart. She always
Mhm.
tries helping everybody in the world do anything. So
Yeah.
anytime she can help, she jumps on it.
What about like the racers in your family? I think you said like your whole family races. So what do
Yeah.
they think about it?
Oh, they're all about it. So,
Okay.
like I said, my father-in-law, he's building the wheelie bars for my nephew's car at his house right now. He's got a lathe and a mill, so we can make custom parts and stuff like that. My brother-in-law is a machinist for GE, so he's all about he. I gave him some hubs. He went and freaking hollowed them out so I could put ball bearings in them.
You're
So
going deep. You are going deep.
yeah, we're getting into the nitty-gritty about all the little parts. So, like I said, we're going
Okay.
after that 12-volt modified national championship this year while the kids are still small.
And when's your next race?
August 2nd, actually, we have a big no prep race at National Trail Raceway in Ohio with the Central Power Sports guys. Um, that's the next big race. We have a car show right after 4th of July that I sent you the flyer on that. It's
Mhm.
an all kids car show. So
Mm.
everything there's only for the kids. They're going to have like, uh face painting, bounce houses and stuff like that. It's just for the kids. So we're going to go down there, set up a little booth for the Lapeer guys. I'm going to bring all my cars down there and show all these kids down there that might not know about drag racing about the drag racing. And Mel is going to have his group down there too with those guys, uh, Power Wheels drag cars too. His daughter has the most beautiful Corvette you could ever think of.
Oh yeah.
It looks it looks like the paint job off of a lowrider.
Mhm.
It's pink with so much flake in it. You can't. He describes it as somebody puke flake on it. It has so much. This is the problem. Like seriously, it's all pinstriped. It has all these beautiful um, paint schemes inside of it. It is absolutely the nicest Corvette Power Wheel probably on the planet. And
Awesome.
he built it for her to race, and she's like, "No, it's too pretty to race. I'm
Too
not gonna
pretty
race
to
it."
race.
It
You
is.
gotta
It's
build another one. You gotta build another one for her.
well, he has a few of them,
Mhm.
but yeah, that car is absolutely gorgeous, and so I expect her to be there with that car, and she'll obviously take first place because you ain't gonna compete with something you can't even look at with all the glitter in it. But so I'll just have my normal race cars down there looking, all beat up and stuff like that. We'll just power show, but we'll have 6 cars at that car show, um,
Nice, nice.
just to get word out and, show it to kids
So
and
when is
parents.
this national what the national 12-volt outlaw, where's this
Okay,
gonna
so the nationals that we're going to be doing is at a church in Ohio.
Mhm.
It's from the Central Power Sports Group. Let me actually.
And what are you expecting for attendance for this race?
So last year they had 105 entries, and then the week after they had like 120 at just
Oh, wow.
club race because everybody stayed
Okay.
to do it. It
And
was
I
at
assume
it
people
was
race
actually.
multiple classes?
Oh yeah, like I
Okay.
said, I'm bringing down 3 cars for each of my
There you
kids.
go. So you go.
So they're going to have 3 chances to race.
Sweet.
Northside Church of Christ in Newark, Ohio, is where
Okay.
this national event's going to be. So,
Sweet.
and that is October 11th.
Okay.
So,
So, yeah,
yep,
quite some
the,
time away.
yep. So, like I said, we're getting everything ready. We're going to be going to these races. They run these classes all year long, so we're going to get a good idea on how we stand against the other kids and
And
see what
this
else I need to do.
will this be it's October, so I assume it's gonna be an indoor race?
No, it's outdoor at a church parking lot.
Okay, so it's
It's
still
so
good enough weather?
it's Southern Ohio, so the
Oh,
weather would still be like, 70s,
okay,
so
perfect, perfect.
Fahrenheit.
Alright,
Um,
that's awesome.
but, back to the brush and brushless thing.
Oh, we're back to that, good,
Yeah,
I like it.
so I really have strong opinions on this one, Lefty. So, with the cool part is with all the guys doing all these 3D printing of gearboxes and stuff like that and gears, they're making these things way stronger than the factory gearboxes too. So with these
Mm,
new gearboxes, they can handle a lot more power. Even the ML Toys Phoenix is stronger
mhm,
than the factory gearbox. So you can put more power to that and it won't break pins or anything like that. The idler gear pins or anything like that. None of those things would snap. So you can put a lot more power to these things than you actually can think of.
mhm.
Then, like I said, with the ability to ramp up power makes a big difference too. And
Well, I mean, I I understand the cost upkeep of it. I imagine buying 2 Tekin RX-8s or you kn and Tekin RX-8s and the motor's not cheap. I mean,
no, that's
they're
probably
like
about $700 investment.
just for that.
Yeah,
But
but like I said, over time, I've been on the same stuff the whole time and haven't even got the motors warm yet. And those guys are going
mhm,
through. This past weekend I smoked 2 motors just testing. That's $80. I do that 10 times. I'm already ahead of the game.
I see that, I see that.
So
And, and then you could the ability to program them, right?
correct.
Like,
Yeah,
take
that's
out your
huge too.
computer, program them.
Then I have some buddies that are machinists that actually made or made steel gears for the internal of the gearbox too. So
All of them?
we're playing around with doing ball bearing steel gears on that.
Well, you got
It was about $400 to have the gear set made.
well, you're going
But
but that gear set's gonna last forever.
yeah, they shouldn't ever break.
You'll probably break the gearbox housing first before you break the gears.
That's what I was talking about with the new 3D printed ones and stuff like that. Hopefully the cool part is um these guys that are doing all this 3D printing stuff, like I know you've talked about 3D printing on your other podcasts and how it's very, very nice that we don't have to have all the injection molds to make parts and stuff like that. You can just design something and have it printed. I have a $150 printer I can make anything I want with. And so these guys building these cases and stuff like that, it's just they come out with the brake systems, they come out with the gearboxes, gears, and all that cool stuff that they're doing with 3D printing, and it's amazing. And I love seeing people's imagination on how that works.
Well, you know what this reminds me of, and I said this with Alan. It reminds me of the old school RC tinkering days,
Oh
right?
yeah, where you would take a piece of carbon fiber, cut it out, and make a chassis for your
Mhm,
on-road car. Oh,
mhm.
I have buddies that have CNC routers that still do that to this day.
Yeah.
They make their own
We've kinda
customers
gotten
for
away from
cars.
that in our hobby, but because
Yeah.
everything's made now, but it's
Well,
it's it's tinkering.
yeah, with the RC1, when you were in there, did you go in the hobby shop and see all the custom parts that those guys 3D printed? They have battery trays, they got they have anything in the world you could think of. That that's awesome that we're at a stage in this world where you can just think of something and have it printed. You don't have to call Japan or China and make something. So,
My last question was like, how far away are we from a 3D printed car that's
car.
viable,
Yeah.
that goes
Oh,
out there and
in a
work?
heartbeat. In a
Yeah.
heartbeat. I
Yeah.
think I honestly will have one. And if they didn't just come out with the 22X because Losi's pretty much dead, I think that probably would have been the thing. With everybody
Actually,
leaving, I think they probably could have probably did that. You could probably just buy the files and print off the stuff as much as you want.
yeah.
That would
They're
be
doing
awesome.
aluminum printing and all that stuff now.
Oh yeah, they do concrete printing of houses.
Isn't crazy. It's
Yeah,
crazy. It's crazy. All right. What? So I think it's going to be a natural evolution, right?
yeah.
And or maybe it's just a class for it. That's a star.
That'd be a possibility too. Kind of like the huge evolutionary that we're about to take in motocross with electric bikes versus combustion motorbikes. The same kind of thing that happened from 2-stroke to 4-stroke. Now we're going to electric. Same thing with 8 scale remote control cars. Everything was nitro. Then we came out with electric. It's just a natural progression. So
Absolutely.
then with
So
this guys doing all the 3D printing, making everything stronger is really really cool. I like that a lot.
Well, it seems like talking to you, you know a bunch of yep, you've obviously got your ear to the ground a lot more than me because you're involved in this with your you obviously they're in the USA. It seems like nationwide, it's starting to have these groups pop up of doing all
Correct.
the racing. And it's only a matter of time before, we're start social media is key, right? That's just like anything. You
Oh,
you
yeah,
start
that's what got me going on it is
yeah.
it's so easy just to share something. You see something, just share it. Then 30 more people see it, then 40 more people see it. Then, that's just with Facebook being able to do that and, that's what you called me a promoter, a race promoter. All I was doing is sharing stuff and getting,
I thought you was the promoter.
getting
I was
involved. Well,
confused.
yeah, I can no problem. I will gladly take that responsibility, but I don't do it just for one group. If I see the Midwest Power Wheels in Wisconsin do it, I'll share all their stuff. The Ohio
Yeah.
guys, I'll share all their stuff. I was just trying to, it's so easy just to hit that share button and let
Yep.
50 more people see it. Like, oh wow, that's really cool.
You know what?
That's
It's like it's easy for people to hit that sub, like, and notification button on this podcast. That's what they
which
should do.
which really surprises me that you're a subscriber, then you look at the guest you have, those guys should have plugged you a little bit harder, but be
I'm
like,
gonna have it everybody's busy, right?
"Yeah,
And
I
I
get it."
get it. Time plus money. I'm new to this. My goal is to get out to an event, take my daughter, and we go to an event and have some fun and, meet and greet and all that type of
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
RC is a little different. RC, I kind of was already established before I started my podcast. It's my main thing. This is my hobby to an extent, right? Doing it with my daughter and stuff like that. So, but I'm I really the racing side is what gets me. I don't think we'll ever get to do it here, but I know there's other parts of this, and I really, if you're listening to this and you sent me some messages, I really want to start talking to people doing the off road stuff, the demolition derby, all that type of stuff, because I'm looking at all aspects of the Power Wheels community, and I want to try to represent them and talk about them because someday, somehow, somebody's gonna come back and stumble on these, right,
Correct.
and be like,
It's on
"Oh
the
wow."
internet, it's always gonna be
Yeah,
on the internet.
exactly, and someday, maybe, hopefully, once we start getting subs and all that type of stuff and get more popular in the community, this will be like what the NNRC has become for RC, which is my RC podcast, which is, drama,
Yeah,
news, all that type of stuff, and geeking out on that. So I'm trying to hit on all cylinders, right?
correct.
Trying
That's
to
why
find
I
out.
sent you those guys that are doing those radio flyer oval races.
Mhm.
It's not just drag racing, so, no, that's a great way to, progress into the quarter midgets and round, circle track racing and stuff like that. That's huge, like, in the flat areas of the US.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think about Alan and his new endeavor with ML Toys producing his own vehicles?
So, I wish him the best of luck. Do I think we're there as a s as a hobby? I don't know. It's gonna dictate on so, Alan has kind of a weird reputation. Either people love him or hate him. So,
I am
yeah,
aware.
yes, he's a business owner. He's gonna that's his way of life. Yes, he's gonna protect that. If he, actually follows through and makes these things with a decent quality, granted, I know he's not making them at his shop. He's importing them from wherever.
Well,
If
no, apparently he's so I've been talking to him. He's 100% involved in the design of them and
correct,
doing
I
them.
get that, but, I'm talking about the assembly process over wherever he's having them made, whether it's Mexico, Japan, Taiwan, wherever he's getting these made at. If they keep up the standard that he's gonna, you know, proceed that these cars are going to be, it would be great. But
Mhm,
right now, a lot of people are like, "Well, I don't run Elmo toys because they don't stand behind their product.
mhm.
They don't, I'm not trying to dog it. I run his stuff. I love his stuff. It's
Right, I get it, but people have
it's
their opinions.
yeah.
We're
Everybody
not putting them
has.
on the internet.
It's just like a car, though. Like me and you could buy the same Chevy truck. You can have tons of problems with yours. I could have not a dang thing for 20 years.
Mhm,
It's just the way the wind blows that day. Um, so it all dictates on how he's going to appear his quality of standards on those cars.
I agree with
So
you. I think
so
what's happening is, from talking to him, it seems like they're not gonna be producing Power Wheels that much anymore, or they're kinda I think the factory is they stopped producing them, and I could be wrong, But that's what I'm hearing is like they're not. I think there was a big factory that produced them in Mexico, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken.
Mexico was the priority,
And I'm hearing that
production.
like that's slowing down or not producing as many because obviously with the the look, it's gonna be like most people gonna be like, okay, so I could get this pop eh, Power Wheels car, which is the quality Power Wheels that
Yeah,
we know when we think of Power Wheels, like what I have, the Dune Racer, what you have, and then of course there's so many other options out there that are cheaper. And the general, it's no different from RC where people are gonna go out and buy that cheap car because it's cheap and it's gonna break down on them or whatever. And then, oh, well, I don't want to spend any money on this. I think I've been talking to him. He's uber excited, and I agree with you. The quality has to be there. I think he's gonna work hard on that. He knows that as well. He's been in this long enough, but I think what's coming out of it's coming out of maybe also necessity because we might not see. Obviously, there will always be a used market, right? But
correct.
we might not see brand new vehicles, and it doesn't look like Mattel. I think it's Mattel who owns them. Is it?
Yeah.
I think it's Mattel. Yeah, it doesn't seem like they're very interested in because I imagine these aren't easy to ship. They're heavy and all that stuff compared to action figures and all that stuff that they're used to. And I'm sure that action figures and toys and all that stuff sell way more than the Power Wheels.
Oh, by far, that's just like
So,
all the little you could probably have a little fake phone and it'll probably outsell a Power Wheels just because the way kids are like, "Oh, I got a phone now,"
mhm,
instead
mhm.
of actually getting on something and going and ride it and stuff like that. I think, like I said, those days may be behind us where the kids are actually, you see it in motorsports at all. All these dealerships and stuff. They have tons of bikes, but they're not really selling them, and they're closing down because they don't have the revenue coming in.
I agree. I agree.
Um,
So
I
I think
I,
it's
ho- I hope for Alan's sake is that he makes these cars hobby grade where you can buy each individual part too.
I understand what you mean. I understand what you mean. Like
So
basically
yeah,
like
so
a
like you were just
Mhm.
saying, if somebody goes to the store and buys a Tyco car and break it, you're done. You're out $90. If you spend 900 on a Power Wheel and your kid clips the neighbor's car or something like that and breaks it, you want to be able to fix it you spend all this money on something, you want to be able to repair it.
I'm pretty sure he's taking all of that into
Yeah,
consideration.
I hope he is. Like I
I'm
said, I
pretty
wish
sure
the
he
dude
has.
the best of luck with it. But like you said, you've had other guests on this show already that imports other cars that are a quarter of the price.
Mhm.
Is a mom and dad going to go spend $800 on a car? Are they going to spend $400 on a car that their kids are going to outgrow in 2 years or lose interest in it?
This is true. It's
Yeah,
it's it's a gamble. That's why
yeah.
it's an endeavor. It's a risk.
Oh,
And
it's a very, very big risk for him.
yeah, and he's uber excited about it and he thinks he can do it. And he sees some I talk to he is all in. Like when I talk to this guy, he talks about Power Wheels in the same way that I geek out on RC, right?
Yeah, I've texted him quite an extravagant amount.
So,
Um, so then with his little repair shop idea, I don't know how that's gonna, go either.
hey,
So
we gotta see how it all works. I
yeah,
I get the point.
I wish
I
him the best of luck. I just don't know if we're there as a hobby yet.
I mean, you know what? Maybe we need to make it there. And if I've always said, never if it's not there, you gotta make it. If it is, it's just you just gotta have the balls and the
Yeah,
risk mentality to do it.
are you risking going broke for that?
Hey, I'm sure he's weighed all those options
Yeah,
and gonna
like I
try.
said, I wish him the best of luck on it, but
So we gotta.
we'll
I think
see.
we have to get behind all that type of stuff because there aren't any other manufacturers
But I
looking to
do
do
tell
that.
you one thing though, as soon as he comes out with that little Doom Racer, I am getting one and painting it like a grasshopper. That will be
He'll
my
flip it
grasshopper.
in.
That will be my grasshopper or my cricket replica car. I
It
will
is wicked.
definitely get one of those.
I wish him all the best.
I think that thing's really cool looking. So
I do. I do. I think his Alan has gotten this far by being a very good businessman, right? And he's not going to do something unless it's a thing that he thinks can make money and
correct.
can also be sustainable. So I'm excited for him. I think I get it. I've seen the comments. He's told me the stories. I know he's I call him like the JQ of of Power Wheels. You love him. You either love him or you love to hate him, but he still has contributed a lot
Oh,
and
yeah, that's
to the industry.
I have no
So,
I like I said, I personally have not had any single issues with
yeah, I know
anything,
there have
so
been people that have many issues with him, but
correct.
he told me that too, and I was like, "You are the JQ." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna name you Alan Q," because just so people know, JQ is a very he's a friend of mine, good friend of mine, and he is a very polarizing character, way more than Alan is in our industry of RC. But he's an very intelligent being who has done great things. Like he's written a book, written
Yeah,
two books.
oh, trust me, I have a bunch of JQ products.
Yeah, exactly. So you know all about him.
Yeah,
And he's a very difficult person to work with. Trust me. I know I've done it for many years. And but I think he's on a good track. He's very passionate about this. This is his business. And I get it. Not everybody's gonna like what you do.
yeah.
And just like you said, somebody might buy a product and have best of luck with it, and somebody might not. It just comes down to that. And I think he's trying to eliminate that. So
So
you have to
he's
give
doing
him
a
the
really
benefit
good
of the
job
doubt.
with his demonstration videos too that he
Mhm.
puts out.
Very good.
Um, so I yeah, that helps out tremendously.
Yeah,
So
but I definitely like the brushless stuff, right?
correct.
Because I'm an
Yeah,
RC guy, and that's
yeah.
where my brain's going. Brushless, ESCs, programming, all that type of stuff.
So yeah, just like in a real drag car, you have all these Holly Terminator X's that tell you all the graph, all your whether your drive shaft is, freeing up or there's sensors all over real drag cars and stuff like that. So this is a very, very small way of getting into something like that too.
I see. I can. It's just beginning.
Yeah,
You never know where it's gonna go.
like I said, this is a very, very exciting time, I guess, for the year of the Power Wheels. Like I
Mhm.
said, I'm calling it with how much growth we're having and stuff like that. With obviously the introduction of your podcast and everything else that's going on with
Well, it takes
it-
groups and people and exciting fathers like you who are out there tinkering, doing this for the love. Luckily, you're gonna have a second chance if your son, or maybe you could push
oh,
out another one.
I
You're not
no,
not
no, we're no,
not
we're
too
done.
old.
Um,
I
I
had
get
mine at 40. I had my second child at
yeah,
40.
my wife took care of that option. Um, so but I got a good 8, 9 years into this
And you
hobby
know what?
left if
In that
if
8,
everything
9
works
years,
out. Yeah.
I guarantee you in that 8, 9 years, a lot of things are gonna
Yeah.
change. A lot.
Tremendously change.
Because I believe as much as I love RC, this is going to be way this is more popular than RC racing. Racing. When I say RC, RC racing. And I think the drag racing stuff, while it may never ever be as big as the bashing stuff, that's where the innovation is gonna come from out
Well,
of the
yeah,
drag.
that's how everything in this motor industry works. Racing the chinkers down to, the old NASCAR stand. If you win on Sunday, you buy on Monday. Whatever, you know, that's the way it has always worked.
All right.
So,
So what are the plans for Team Boucher then for the next over the next few weeks? Just testing, doing hits?
so yeah, we're like I said, we're finishing up our sixth car. We're building a wheelie bar kit for it right now. I gotta go away a different way of gluing on the foam to the rear tires. Um, and just yeah, pretty much. I got brand new batteries from SMC that we're going to be trying out to see how the motors like it. What I got to do with gearing on that to get the kids. I bought one of those draggy things, the GPS uh, things that let you know your times and stuff like that, so we can actually physically see if we're making improvements or stuff like that on it. So yeah, that's pretty much. Um, School's just now getting out up here, so the kids are going to have free time to so I could snag them and take them to the parking lot and go drag race.
Does she enjoy that part? Does she enjoy the testing side?
Yeah, she does. She likes
Okay.
watching. She likes driving her stock in her 12-volt mod cart. Like I said, she's a little timid about the 24-volt still, but that will come with time.
You think we were gonna see any type of onward type of circuit racing with these at any point?
There's a couple groups that do
Ooh.
some on road stuff, like kind of the. I don't know if you ever seen autocross where they
Mhm.
just set up a track and you're not racing with other people on the track. You're just
Fine.
doing time runs. I think could see that happening. The only hard part about that is, these are toy grade cars,
Mhm.
so you gotta do a lot of reinforcement of, steering to make sure, like I like Alex Teeter and those guys and ML just came out with that steering stabilizer bar because they're so loose they do this stuff by themselves.
Mm,
It's kind of hard to drive a road course when you're one tire's going one way and one tire's going the other. So
absolutely.
you would have to do a lot of customization to make these things actually handle good on a road course.
I think
That's
you're right, dude. I think this is the year of the Power Wheels. I've been getting into it. I've been, like it's coming across my feed so much. Like I said, guys are sharing it, and my people don't know, and once they know, we're gonna see that hit. Like people coming in and getting things and doing it, and it's gonna be interesting to see what happens because
every single day I see 5 to 10 more people getting introduced to it.
really,
Because like they'll show a clip on TikTok and somebody be like, "Whoa, what is this? What is it about?" And I'll go in there and I'll post, like I said, takes 3 seconds to make a post and so I'm gonna be like, "Yeah, this, guy today has, hey, are these remote control cars?" I'm like, "No, the kids are actually driving them and stuff like that." And they're like, "Wow, we didn't even know this existed." People text me or DM me, "Hey, do you think it'd be possible for you to build me a car or something?" Do they come in kits? Do you have to build them? Yada yada. From that way, I'm like, "Yeah, if you want, I could certainly guide you through a car. I'm
mhm,
not gonna
mhm.
take the responsibility or you know anything like that of building a car and your car wrecks and gets hurt. That
I
that
understand.
would that'd be the worst thing in the world. I'd quit. I'd quit running Power Wheels altogether if I did something like that and a kid got hurt.
Yep.
Um, that's
I
how.
actually have a little cool thing I'm gonna do for my daughter here. So, I have this little dirt, ah, off-roady, mild off-roady dirt road that I use to go out to this lake where I run my 8 RC boats around her, and we're gonna set up and we're gonna film her do her it's like about a mile. So we're gonna we don't have no racing and we don't know all the Power Wheels around us, but we're just gonna do little adventures, and we're gonna film her doing that, and, we're hoping to do that here soon.
Is
So
the Doom Racer widely available in your area?
no, actually, I had to get that from America and send
Okay.
her. There are n the only ride ones we have here are because I bought a few. My cousin had one, and my daughter, she had a Jeep earlier. They're just the cheap Chinese ones. So
Okay.
there's no I'm sure somebody has like, maybe a Power Wheel sitting in the garage. I'm sure they're here, but what I deal with is shipping.
Yeah.
You can get anything in one day. For me, it has to go to Miami, then it gets on a freight forward, and then comes here. What I paid for my Power Wheels pretty much cost me to ship it here
Yeah.
with
I
taxes and all
yeah.
that stuff.
I had a buddy that was a Ford engineer and he went down to Rio and worked at the Ford factory down there and he was trying to race remote control cars down there and he's like, and shipping is 4 times the amount of money that I pay for the parts. He's like, "I
Mhm.
can't get a new kit down here because 'cause I'll pay 800, 900 for the kit." It's ridiculous just for all the tariffs and the import taxes and all that stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know all about it. Brian, it was a great chat with you. Thank you for your time. I think we're gonna have you on here again
No problem,
because
dude, like I said, I would gladly come on anytime you want. If you want to, double team somebody that's, on there, we could both ask questions because, like, you obviously know that I'm more into the little nitty-gritty parts of the hobby as opposed to you just being introduced to it. Just to let you know, I only went through like a quarter page of all the
we
notes I've been
definitely
taking.
gotta we definitely gotta have you back on.
So yeah, no problem. I would gladly do whatever you need me to do to
And thank you.
help you
I like
grow this.
absolutely.
I have a bunch of
Absolutely.
friends that do podcasts, so I'm going to send them this link once you edit it and air it, and they're going to drill me to death on how need to be better. So next time we should be
They'll
a little
probably tell me I know I need to improve on things, but I learned a lot, and I like I like it. We need to have different opinions of her and all that type of stuff. That's what it's about. It's about, bringing everybody's different views of what's going on. I'm excited. I'm excited to be in this route. I wanna get to one of these events. I wanna meet more people. I wanna learn more about what's going on. But I can't do that without people hitting that sub, like, and notification button on this podcast, going over to our socials, hitting that. So we have a Power Wheels Instagram, we have a Power Wheels podcast Instagram, we have a Power Wheels podcast Facebook. We have some good reels up on there. We had some good guests. I'm hoping to get Alex back on her as well. Once he's a busy man, so it's kind of hard to lock him down. And but yeah, definitely gonna have Brian back on her, and we're always looking for some other cool because when you really start digging deep, there's Power Wheels and so many different things going on and different, not just racing, but people using it. There's adult racing Power Wheels, not like the guys running on downhill,
Oh,
but like
that is
actual
scary.
Power
If
Wheels.
you've ever seen anybody do that in person, that it gets intense.
I'm not doing that. I like
I
my I don't
I
like broken bones and all that stuff.
yeah, you don't need to be no armed, but,
Yeah.
dude, I've watched some guys do that stuff gets so we have this event in Texas called Rednecks with Paychecks, and they do a downhill Barbie, Jeep scramble where all these guys
Mhm.
just put on helmets and take the gearboxes out and free fall down these hills and, Power Wheels. They shatter them. They like, these things are going crazy. It's intense.
Yeah, no, but this is I got Alan sent me a link. It's actual like racing. They're racing them on like on a road. I just answered my own question. Now I don't know to the extent what the Power Wheels and stuff are, but they're more adult ride ones, I guess, or whatever.
I've
I
seen
gotta
them. I've seen them put the plastic bodies on different chassis,
probably
and
something like that.
because yeah, that'd be the only way I think it'd be feasible. Because like even if I lean on my daughter's car too much, I can feel the whole thing flex. There was
Okay.
no way I could get into that thing unless I, weighed 160 pounds.
Oh, no, I don't, yeah, I wouldn't
Yeah.
even. So before before we go, maybe you wanna shout out to some of the groups, maybe people can check them out, some of the people I know Lapierre is a big thing for you, and,
Yeah. Oh,
let
we got
people
the
know.
Lapeer Kids Power Wheels Racing, the Central Ohio Power Sports guys, the Midwest Power Wheels, um, obviously Oxford. Those guys do a great job. They don't need any more addition promotion. Um, but yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of right now. Adam Sanders was the gentleman. Now that I just thought of it, was the guy that does a great detailed about building the cars, and
Is he
he's
on
the guy.
YouTube?
Yes, he does a couple YouTube little short videos.
Okay.
He's one of the guys I suggested that you might want to interview too, because he's an
Adam
iron. Yeah,
Sanders.
yeah, he's an
Mhm.
iron worker. Um,
Okay.
Union pride, all of us. Um,
Oh, that's what you do, you're an iron worker?
no, actually, I'm a pipe fitter.
Oh, okay,
So I
okay.
work in nuclear power plants, refineries, steel mills, stuff like that. So that's what I
So that's
actually
why
do.
you travel a lot.
Yeah, that's exactly why I travel. I travel all over the country going to different nuclear power plants.
Awesome,
Um,
awesome.
but yeah, he will go through great detail what he does on the cars and stuff like that too. So, that road course or that roundabout, um, group that I was talking to you about that does the radio flyers and the on the dirt ovals, they actually have a Facebook page called Jukebox Division or Juice, sorry, not Jukebox, Juice Box Division, and that's their Facebook page, and it shows you all about them racing their little radio flyers on the circle track.
Check them out. I will check them out.
Yeah, that's
Always looking for guests on her. So if you have any guests that you think I should get on her, let me know. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think about this, about Brian's the brushless thing. That's definitely something I want to know about. And let us know what you think in the comments. And thank you,
that's
Brian. For your oh, go ahead.
this is easily part one. Like I said, I got
I'm sure
so
we're
much
gonna have
more
part
stuff we
two,
could do.
three,
Part
four parts.
two, three, four. We can make this like a Back to the Future movie.
We can
So
do it. I think we're gonna do it. I think we're gonna. Hey, thank you for your time. I enjoyed the chat, and good luck to you and Team Boucher and their racing. And I look forward to seeing what you do. I
yeah,
really want to see your brushless vehicle go. That's what I want to see.
I'll show you. I'll keep sending you pictures and results.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
So
your time, man.
not a problem. Like I said, thank you for doing the podcast in the first place. This is a great way to get the hobby out to people that don't know it even exist. So I appreciate everything you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate your support. All right, everybody. If you like what we're doing, don't forget to hit that sub like notification button. Leave some comments. What do you think about what we've been talking about? Also, shout out to ML Toys, our sponsor. We have a coupon code. You can save some money. Links for that in the written description of this podcast. A big shout out to them. We wish them all the luck with their, well, I don't know when this is coming out, but I hope they have a good event down there in Rockingham. It looks very positive. Gonna be lots of eyes on the Power Wheels things. Hopefully get some media spotlights there and get what we're doing out there so people can see it, because I'm sure it's just like RC. People know about Power Wheels, but don't know that there's racing going on, there's modifying and all that stuff. Brian, good luck with your family this summer. Thank you for your time. Everybody, stay powered up with your Power Wheels. We'll talk to you all later. Lefty and Brian, we're out.